Dumelang Bagogaye. I welcome you to Healer of the World. Warm greetings from me to you. Thank you for joining us for our third session. I would really like to thank all the people who have sent in their responses from yesterday's session. So just to recap, yesterday's session was focusing on shading and coloring techniques. And I'm seeing a lot of people who are showing a lot of interest and a lot of skill, so thank you for that. Naturally I got inspired to actually create more after that session. Once the cameras were switched off, once I was not teaching anymore, I was like, let me see, as a visual artist, as an illustrator, what is it that I can create that can incorporate all of those lessons that were being taught for the second session. So this is what I came up with. So basically this is a self-portrait from an image that I took a few years back. It reminded me of good memories, and I wanted to really depict that in an illustrative form, but also incorporating colors. So I've chosen to go with my textured and my very apparent coloring, and also the fine blending which you can see throughout the picture. Thank you for sharing your images, your interesting images with me. This is my final product from yesterday. This brings us to today's lesson, which will be on the construction of the head. I personally love drawing the human body, the human form, and that's a lot of, like, it's the easiest thing that we can reference because it is ourselves, it is something that we appreciate, it is what our souls, our spirits, and our minds, where they actually dwell. So it's quite natural that the faces that we meet are quite inspiring to us. And if you are an aspiring visual artist, or you just want to express yourself or the love that you have for humanity, or even a human being yourself or being your loved ones, this is how you can achieve that without worrying about proportion, without worrying about how it's going to look, without feeling awkward about, or even being scared about creating an image that does not really depict the person as they are. So this is how we're going to look at using shapes and lines still as the basis of creating our facial construction for today. So the tools that we're going to use today are our sharpened pencils, rubber, our sharpener, our ruler, and I have this magic lamp that I'm going to use to make perfect circles. You can just find something that you can use to create perfect circles with. I found this one to be very portable and to be the right size with regards to the kind of circles that I want. So this is how I used my magic lamp. I used the underneath part of it to create these 3 circles. So with these 3 circles, I'm just going to show you a simple demonstration of how you can use your hands without relying on the ruler or measurements to create facial structures, or like how to create the face, looking at the front of it and seeing how it also curves as it moves towards the right. So what you would do is create a stroke of lines like this, which segments the circle into 2, which halves it into 2. So you will generally have to use your own observation or your own understanding of how a facial structure would look like. So your eyes would typically be here, so you make 2 lines here. Your nose would have to be here, and the mouth would have to be here. So this is how the front view is going to look like. So as you move to this one, and as the face moves or looks towards the right, you will see that it's going to curve. Instead of the line being straight, it's going to curve. So this also guides you if you want to create an image that is looking towards the side. So the eye is going to be here, the other one is going to be here, the nose right here, and then the mouth right here. So typically your ear is going to show more on the left hand side than it will on the right, whereas with this one you will be able to see them on the side since it is the front view. So with the third one, as it moves further into the right hand side, so will the curve. So you'll be seeing more of this person's side than you would with that other one. So the ear also moves closer as well. So this would be like a direct view of them looking the other direction without perhaps this one being at a certain angle. So I'm firstly going to start with my circle. I'm going to make my circle here in the middle. This is a perfect activity that we can do together. After I'm done with this circle, I'm going to take my ruler and make a straight line in the middle from the top going down. Make sure that it is proportioned and the halves are equal. What I'm also going to do is create another line going over the circle like this. And then the next step is that you have to look at where the circle ends and make another line there. What we're going to do now is look at the sides of the circles where the line and the circle meet from this side and this side, looking at both sides. And what you're going to do is that you're going to take your ruler still and make a line going down. It should not be proportioned to the first one that you did, which segments the two circles. What you do on the left, you do on the right. What you do on the right, you do on the left. These two lines should be the same, right about the same size. What you're going to do is make a small line here. It should not be big. It cannot be the same size as that one. And what you're going to do now is take your ruler and connect these two lines, both on the left and on the right. Also do it on your left hand side. Always make sure that as you are doing this, everything is proportioned according to how you see it with your eye. Your ruler might not assist much with the proportioning of all of this, so make sure that you are able to direct the ruler to do exactly as you want it. So what we're going to do is another incision in between the circle again, just beneath it, beneath the first line, the top horizontal line. So this line that I just created now is going to be my guiding tool to creating my eyes. So before I create my eyes, I have to make two lines that show me the measurement of my eyes. It's going to guide me of how I want to execute or produce these eyes. So from this line to this line, you're going to draw a curvy line at the top and a curvy line at the bottom. You do the same on your right hand side, a curvy line at the top and a curvy line at the bottom. So this is where your eyes would typically be. Don't worry much about the lines right now. Just look at them as guiding tools to creating a perfect proportioned face. So the next step is that we're going to look at this cross between the eyes, where we are going to start off drawing our line at the center, creating a triangle going down, and we create another triangle going down. So you can already see the face taking shape, and you can already tell that here where the triangle is where your nose would be created. That even the eyebrows should be featured in that. So just to make it a very simple curvy line. And what you're going to do is take your ruler still and close this triangle, which will assist you in drawing your mouth. So you can already tell from these lines where your mouth should go, according to also according to the proportion of the eyes, the nose. So this is where you're going to draw your mouth. So the size of the mouth is based on you as the artist and how big you want it to be. Naturally, for me, this makes sense. And you're going to see here that the two lines that are protruding are going to guide you in drawing your ears. So your ear is slightly going to overlap this line and going down. Same on this side as well. It's not the same size, but something of that sort. So this can actually guide you in terms of how you would want your face to turn out to be, whatever size you want it to be. So I'm just going to show you, okay, this is the front side of an angled face. I'm going to show you the left side and the right side as well. Kinds of constructions that I've shown you, the different angles rather. This is the front, the left side when the person is looking on the left side and when they're looking on the right side. You can already see the difference between the side ones from the front one, where the front one is more structural, there's a lot of line work going on in it. You can achieve this as you remove the lines and make more central lines that define or at least shape up a face according to how you know it. So within our facial constructions or our head constructions, we have facial features which consist of our eyes, our eyebrows, our nose, mouths, and ears. So we're going to start off with the eye, and we're just going to begin with the basic look of how an eye is drawn. We first start off with the socket, and then the iris, the black part within it, and give it a bit of detail by giving it a dot in the middle and lines that go outwardly from the dot, and we're going to draw our eyelashes. So this is quite basic, it can be done by anyone, and a lot of the people who try to draw always go for the safe eye, but it is advisable for you to draw an eye that is more defined, that has shading, that has light within the iris, that have more realistic eyelashes. So how you do that is that you first of all have to choose the kind of shape in which you want to draw your eye socket, and I'm just going to go with one that comes to mind. You start off from this point to this point, or either way according to the hand that you use or the sides in which you are comfortable with, and you join these together and you draw your iris within it, within the eye socket. So you will see the difference between this one and this one is that the iris is more in the middle, is not touching the eye socket, and is more cartoonish. But when you look at a human being's eye, you will see that the iris is not all the same, but it is always in line or within, slightly within the eye socket. So you're going to make another circle within it. So make another circle within it. So this is going to serve as though there is light in the eye, because eyes do reflect where they're looking at or what is being reflected to them. So you're going to color in the middle circle and leave that small circle as light as it is. So what you're going to do is make the big circle a bit darker on its circle, a bit darker. And then what you're going to do is slightly shade in, as light as you can, shade in the white parts so that it blends with the different shades of grays. You can already see the huge difference through the use of different shading techniques, and this is what is going to contribute so much in creating this eye to look as realistic as is. So also with this one, we used lines that were being directed by the black dot inside and going outwardly. So we're going to do the same, but not as much as this, not as defined and deliberative as that one. So slightly make your lines without showing too much intention. And once you're satisfied, we move on to making the socket darker so that it blends well with the iris. You will notice when you look at the eye that there's always this pink thing here at the corner. You're just going to use a curve to segment that. And the next part is drawing a line over the eye to show that the socket has an eye within it, as it would look when you look at a real eye. And there are also lines which are not the same from person to person. They differ from person to person. So however way you choose to create your lines is based on the kind of eye that you want to create. So before we draw our eyelashes, we're just going to shade in the top line that we just drew so that we give it character and we breathe life into it. And we also shade the bottom part, not too much. The lines should be more defined than the shading. The shading should complement the line that directs the flow of the shading. So we go back into the socket of the eye, and at the corners we're just going to make strokes of lines on this side as well. And now we're going to draw our eyelashes, and you will notice that eyelashes don't always go in the same direction, so don't try to make them all go in the same direction. You can be as scruffy as you would like. You can make them curvy, you can make them straight, because it shows the difference in how everybody is created based on the features that each individual has. So this is how a real eye would look like, and based on the direction of where the face is looking at, that's how you will draw the face. And even based on where the person is, like where the person, what the person is looking at, you will see by the iris moving its direction. It can come here, it can come here, it can go further up or further down if they're looking up or down, sideways as well. So the side eye, going basic with it, you will draw a V that is looking at a particular angle, and you cover it with a curve, and close it inside so that it takes the shape of an eye. You draw a circle within it and a smaller circle so that you create a glimpse of light within the eye. Same process that we used to create the real looking eye. We shade it inside, and then we draw our lines from inside going outward. And what we do is just create a bit of lines at the corner And then what we're going to do, so that we can show that this is an eye of a person who is facing sideways, is we're going to highlight the outer skin layer that covers or supports the eye socket, and we do the same down here, just using a line. We're going to give it more character by adding lines to it. And then we add our shading. Don't be too hard with it. Shading is meant to complement or to add more depth to a picture. So shade according to how you would like, or how the light is directing you. So how you're going to draw your eyelashes is outwardly in a curved manner, because it is not in the front view. So this is how you will do it. And for you to have beautiful eyelashes, make sure your pencil is as sharp as possible, because when your pencil is sharp, it is more friendly to dark lines as compared to it being stumped. So this is how the basic eye looks, the real looking eye, and when it looks to the side. So the very same principles that have been applied to both of these will apply with whichever angle that you use. So I'm going to show you an example of just a basic eyebrow, and one that is more defined, where you can see the different strokes of the hair that forms part of the eyebrow. So a basic eyebrow would be of the sort where it's just a simple line, a curve, or even a straight line, or according to how a person is, that will be directed by how the eyebrow will be formed. So we're just going to go with the curvy one for now. When you take it to another level, as maybe when you just add a thicker layer to it, but it is still within the perimeters of it being a line. It shows no strokes of hair. So for you to achieve the strokes of hair that look like an eyebrow, you have to apply the principles of using lines continuously next to each other, and trying by all means to make it look real. So I'm going to start off first by using these two dots that will direct me on where it starts and where it ends. And naturally, an eyebrow is thicker where it begins and fades off, gets thinner when it ends. But then that's not always the case, because people are not the same. Some people have eyebrows that are so thick that it looks like just the same shape, same size, and others have ones that are thicker and thin out. So I'm going to start off with my lines going up and curving them, while imagining a straight line from this point to this point. So I'm just going to continuously put in different strokes in different places so that it looks believable. So this is how it would look. It is more thinner than compared to something that would be of this size. You can already see the difference between this one and this one is that this one is more curved and shorter. This one is more thinner but longer than this one. So now we come to the drawing of the nose. So I'm comfortable with teaching you by using a curve that actually is the outline of how a nose can be drawn. But I'm going to start with the basic one, and I think all of us have always resorted to this kind of nose where it's of this sort, or even this, which is quite popular with our children and how they draw their cartoons, and it's still fine because it creates interesting characters at the end of the day. So how we move from this to something more defined and something that complements a kind of character or kind of face that you want to create is determined by how you choose to make your nose. It can be broad, it can be thin, it can be flat. The nostrils can be wide, they can be slightly visible or not visible at all. So I often use this line. It's I don't know what to call it, but it dips in the middle. You start off by creating that, and you come just here at the top of it, and you go around it, and take a pencil and do the same thing on your right hand side. You can already see it taking form. What you're going to do is color in this part which forms your nostrils. So a nose has a bump, does not have a bump, however it looks, it's still okay. And you're going to extend it so that it becomes one with the upper features, which are your eyes and your eyebrows. So how you want to draw your face will be determined by how you choose to draw your curve. So already with this, you can already see that the nose is going to have very big nostrils that are visible. Take your pencil and you curve around it and close it off there. Take another one, curve it. So I'm just going to draw another one that is slightly different from these ones, but using the same technique of the curve. Now we're going to draw the mouth. I think the easiest way to achieve this is drawing a line. And with this line, you're going to draw a curve at the top of the line and below the line. So this is a mouth that has no lines to it, just curves, and realistically this cannot be a mouth that can fit to a real looking kind of face. So for us to move away from this kind of design, but also being assisted by the structure of this, is that we are still going to use the line And instead of making it curvy, we're going to partition the upper lips in the middle to define it a bit more. So this is how it's going to look. It's going to be a bit wavy or dipped rather. Then we go to our lower lip and we just also create a curve, a different kind that complements the upper lip. So lips are different all around. We get thin ones, we get thick ones, we get very long ones, and we get really small ones. So what I'm going to do is lose the line and just rely on my hand and eye coordination and just my creativity to create different kinds of mouths. And what you can do is also experiment like the number of mouths that you can create from the top of your mind. Create as many as you can with the ones that I have shown you, even your eyes, your nose, your eyebrows and your mouths, and play around with it and also shade it so that you can see how it can come out. And I do believe that practice does make perfect, and you will see that as you go on, you'll see the progress. So now we're going to move on to the ear. So the ear is quite easy when you look at it as a C. So this is how you would draw an ear on a cartoon, for instance. So how do you add value to it? How do you add detailing to it? What I do is that I start in the middle here. I create an inner circle that stops right at the middle. I take this line, I create another C within it, take a line going down, and I draw a heat curve going within the circle and connecting with this line. So this would be the ear loop. So it will vary according to how you want your ear to be, and you draw another line going this direction. This is typically darker because of the depth of the ear. This is where the opening of the ear is, so it is darker. So what you do is that where these two heat curves meet, you make it darker, and as you go out you make it lighter. And you shade it in, shade it in, we shade it in. So this is basically how you would do it, or try to do it if you wanted to draw an ear. But now I'm going to show you a way that looks like a real ear. So I'm still going to go with my C, which is more shaped like an ear. And there's going to be a line starting here, going all the way down there. And there's going to be a line that I begin here. So I'm just going to show you more than I'm going to explain to you. You can pause the video or replay it to see how I was able to do that. There's a lot of line work that goes into this, and a lot of shading that will help in terms of seeing. So I'm going to continue with the lines. So basically this would be the structure of it without shading. So when I shade, I'm going to shade within the corners, where the corners are of the ear. Even with the circles. Like I mentioned with the first one, this is the opening to the ear, so you're going to make it darker here. This line is supposed to go inward a little bit. I'm going to shade this part as well. I'm just going to harden the lines so that we see the difference between the shaded parts and the lines of the ear. So this is how our ear looks like. So please pay attention to how the lines were able to assist in terms of developing the structure of the ear, and how it would have to change with different angles based on the position of the face. Okay, so now that I've shown you a couple of ideas on how you can create these features, we are now going to place these features within the facial structure that we were practicing on, the ones that we used shapes and lines for. So now, and show you the final product once I'm done.
C'est la vie a dit, moi que problème, ouais. Qu'on est jamais mieux, pas fâché avec. C'est la vie a dit, moi que problème, ouais. Qu'on est jamais mieux, pas fâché avec. C'est la vie a dit, moi que problème, ouais. N'est jamais mieux, pas fâché avec, ouais. Ouais. Ou pas comme ça que n'aime, c'est ça qu'on suspecte. Mais sous te connais, ou t'as une bande de typo. T'as mis ton boucher, en bas en pied cogoyer. Sous la caille, pour me caresser. Si t'es dans le pays, c'est ça que fait chérie. M'contrarier, ouais. Parce que m'bouquet traîner, m'caille voisin. M'bat sorti pour m'te, red d'ailleurs, ouais. Il est pour mal travail. Pays moi, racher mauvais herbe, pour nous planter, on sait ça fait chérie, pas content, oui, mettre souris ban moi, caresser moi, passer mon sous dôme, faire me sauter, oui, un petit mot pour moi, soulager. Pour qui ça, ouais. Sou wèm pa souri, kem pa kontan. La vie ap kale, m'a réfléchi, woy, pou ki sa, woy. Pou ki sa, wap kale, la vie wan dizade, woy. Sou wèm pa souri, kem pa kontan. La vie ap kale, m'a réfléchi, woy, pou ki sa, woy. Mais pour qui ça, ou aime pas sourire, j'aime pas content, la vie a calé, m'a réfléchi, ouais, pour qui ça, ouais. C'est la vie a dit, moi j'ai un problème, qu'on est jamais mieux. Avec moi, c'est la vie a dit, moi que problème. Qu'on est jamais mieux, pas fâché avec moi. C'est la vie a dit, moi que problème, ouais. Qu'on est jamais mieux, pas fâché avec moi. Ouais. Ou pas comme ça que nous aime, c'est ça qu'on suspecte. Mais sous te connais, ou t'as une bande de typo. T'as mis ton boucher, en bas en pied cocoyer. Souple la caille, pour me caresser. Si t'es dans le pays, c'est ça que fait chérie. M'contrarier, ouais. Parce que m'bouquet traîner, m'caille voisin. M'bat sorti pour m'te, red d'ailleurs, ouais. Il est pour mal travail, pour pays. Racher mauvais herbe, pour nous planter, ouais. C'est ça que fait chérie, m'pas content. Pour mettre souris ban moi, ouais. Caresser moi, ouais. Passer mon sous-dôme, faire me sauter. Faire un petit beau pour moi, soulager moi. Pour qui ça, wap kale, la vie wan dizade, ouais, pour qui ça, ouais. Woy pou ki sa, woy woy, sou wèm pa souri, kem pa kontan, la vi ap kale, ma reflechi woy pou ki sa, woy pou ki sa. Woy pou ki sa, woy woy, men pou ki sa woy, sou wèm pa souri, kem pa kontan, la vi ap kale, woy ma reflechi woy pou ki sa, woy woy, woy woy, woy woy. Sou wèm pa souri woy, kem pa kontan woy, la vi ap kale, woy ma reflechi woy pou ki sa, woy woy, woy woy, woy pou ki sa. Woy, woy pou ki sa, woy, pou ki sa, woy. Sou wèm pa souri woy, kem pa kontan, la vi ap kale, woy ma reflechi woy pou ki sa, woy se pou sa woy.
So this is the final product. This is how my drawing turned out, and you can see that this is the very same structure that I used. It's the very same skeleton that guided me into creating this picture. So you also see in the video that I rubbed off the lines as I was drawing, for instance, the eyes, as I was drawing the nose, so that I don't have to find it difficult to rub it as the final product appears. So you will see that the character has developed into their own self through the different kinds of elements that I've added into the features, even the shading, even how I've chosen to use the line works. So everything that I've been teaching from the first session until this point will actually guide you into creating such an image, or an image that you desire to create.
This brings us to the end of today's class, where we looked at the construction of the head and the facial features. I do trust that the content that I shared with you today is going to assist you greatly in creating pictures that are more defined. Please do subscribe to our page, because I do believe that an activity-based learning is crucial in today's highly stimulated environment, and it is definitely going to do you good in terms of adding new skills within visual arts. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in our next class. Bye.